Surprise, it's just me. Anyway, okay, there we go. Hey, sorry about that, but I just wanted to show this off. I just got a Slipknot mask yesterday, and very pleased about that. But anyway, this is a video response to Count Blackworth's video of what albums are in your collection mean the most to you. And while there are several albums from my collection that are missing but mean just absolutely so much to me, it's just I feel like I really needed to make a response to his video. And Count, if you're watching this, I have very many more albums in this video than you did, I believe. So strap in because this is going to be a long ride. I'm just going to grab the first. All right. First one is As Lay Dying, An Ocean Between Us. This is my first exposure to metalcore, or just this is my first exposure to metal that wasn't really Demon Hunter. And you may be thinking to yourself, he's told us several times on this channel that he grew up listening to Maiden or Iron Maiden and Disturbed. But yeah, Demon Hunter was pretty much my first band that I ever really listened to, and they're pretty much all I listened to for a very long time. But when this album came out, my dad recommended it to me, and I popped it into our desktop at the time, put it on my my little MP3 player, and I was just blown away by it. The songs Separation, Nothing Left, I Never Wanted, The Sound of Truth, just these all blew my mind when I was younger. I didn't know metal could get that just fast, I didn't know it could get really just that intense. And intense. Now I listen to crap that just blows that out of the water, just with how heavy it is. And keeping on the same trend, this is As Lay Dying with Awakened. I remember waiting for this album for so long, because this is really the next As Lay Dying album that I really listened to. I only really listened to An Ocean Between Us for the longest time. And yeah, just I remember waiting for so long for this album, and just Cauterize, A Greater Foundation. Cauterize just blew my mind when I first heard it. I've listened to Awaken more times than I could possibly count. And next we have Mushroom Head with The Righteous and the Butterfly. This is the album really that actually I got a new album today that can also be put in the collection, but Mushroom Head with XII, or 13, and then Mushroom Head with The Righteous and the Butterfly. Both of these albums mean a lot to me because XII is really what got me into Mushroom Head with Kill Tomorrow, and there's already a scratch on the back of this jewel case. And then Sun Doesn't Rise and Mother Machine Gun, those are the songs that got me originally into Mushroom Head. And then this album in particular, I've already shown this off before, but it's signed by everybody in the band except for Waylon and Schmatz. This album also means a lot to me because this is, in my opinion, one of the best albums of 2014, and I know that's really retarded to say, but I really love Mushroom Head. And this CD in particular means just so much to me because I saw this is in my Mushroom Head video that I made about the concert and the story, but this is the night that I met Stitch. He got me full autographs from the rest of the band, and I took him to Taco Bell, and we just shot the breeze for a while. And then I almost ended up getting his hits because I turned when there was no arrow. So, but yeah, and there's just a lot of really good songs on this. Our Apologies, How Many Times, Devils Be Damned, QWERTY, This Cold Rain, We Are the Truth, Graveyard du Jour, Out of My Mind, and then Rumor Has It. Just there's so many good songs on this, and this CD in particular means a lot to me because that was like the second best show I've ever been to in my life. And then I have three again from I have a lot in here from the same band, but this is, if you couldn't tell, this is Slipknot Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. This is Slipknot with All Hope Is Gone. And this is Slipknot .5 The Great Chapter. I'm going to go through them in album order. This album means... I can't even describe what this album means to me. Just... The Blister Exists, when I first heard it, was one of the heaviest, again, I don't really want to say the heaviest, because at this point I was kind of into death metal, or like black metal and crap like that, but like, there's just something about this album that just blew my mind, because when I finally listened to it in full, sorry, this is on my legs, so that's why it's going to be kind of shifty, but anyway, there's just something about this album that really struck my interest. Duality, the Pulse of the Maggots, Before I Forget, and just there's something about this stuck with me for the longest time. And this is by no means Slipknot's best album. That goes to Iowa, but this is my favorite, and this has a lot of sentimental value because I listened to this a lot when we were fixing up this house. And then Slipknot with All Hope Is Gone. This is, if it wasn't for this album, I wouldn't be into Slipknot. They wouldn't be my favorite band. I probably wouldn't be into a lot of the music that I actually am into if it was not for this album in particular. And to be more specific, Psychosocial. Like a lot of people, Psychosocial was the first song I had ever heard from Slipknot. And after I heard Psychosocial, I was jamming out to that for a couple weeks or so. And then after Psychosocial, I think it was it was about 2 months later. No, it was actually about 3 months later that I heard that Slipknot was releasing a new album. So I'm like, okay. It was the first song off of .5 The Great Chapter that I heard that like hooked me instantly on wanting to know what Slipknot was track number 13, The Negative One. And this is one of my favorite albums of 2014, period. Just, if it wasn't, point being, like, long story short, if it wasn't for these three albums in particular, I would not be into a lot of the stuff that I'm into now. Like, I'd still probably be watching, like, Canyon Bickle and Count Blagareth. Like, I'd probably still be watching them, but I just really wouldn't take into consideration, watching or, like, listening to any of the stuff that they show off. But it's because of these three albums and me getting through the, oh, mom and dad don't really like these lyrics, they don't like the image of the band. It's because of that, like, I really started to think for myself. And I don't really want to contribute Slipknot to why I am who I am today, but they've certainly helped mold me into what I am today. And quite frankly, I'm very, very happy about it. And then next we have Woven War. This isn't by any means really my favorite material from the guys from As Lay Dying, and then the guitars from O Sleeper. Like, this isn't really my favorite material, but I remember just the pure anticipation of this album. This is the first album that I ever really was like, oh, we gotta get it. We didn't end up getting it for probably about 4 or 5 months until after it came out. And once it finally did, the anticipation had just built it up so much, and then it just blew me away. It's As Lay Dying with clean vocals, and I know a lot of people actually don't like Woven War, but that's pretty much the reason that I really like Woven War. It's just there was so much anticipation built up behind that album. Tim Lambesis was in jail for attempted murder of his wife, and if you don't know the whole story, just look up As Lay Dying frontman murder conviction and all that, and get yourself filled in. But yeah, Tim was thrown in jail. I was like, what's gonna happen to the guys? What are they gonna do for music now? And As I Lay Down late, just Oh Sleeper just carried on that legacy, but with clean vocals. And quite honestly, I could not be happier. And actually, a little something I'd like to point out is that now a lot of what I like about Awakened is I kind of relate to like Tim's faith struggles and lyrics and crap like that. Anyway, moving on. Death with Leprosy. I know this is on a lot of people's lists of like their favorite of all time and all that, but one of the days I was working on the house here, I downloaded 3 particular albums. One of them would be on this list, but I don't have it, and those would be Tomb of the Mutilated from Cannibal Corpse, Death with Leprosy, and King Diamond, Them. Those are the 3 that I downloaded, and the 3 that I had the most interest in. They're late at the time, because I'm like, I really want to listen to some classic stuff, because this is like near the time I started getting into Slipknot, so I'm like, you know what, I just realized I don't really care that much about lyrics. So I listened to this, and I didn't even know, man. I was not prepared for what Death had to offer. And Leprosy was my first Death album. This album means just a lot to me. It's just incredible. And I know everybody in the Mother praises that album. Everybody in the Mother praises Chuck. And don't get me wrong, he was a good musician. He was a great musician. But like, it may be an overrated album, but that one has stuck with me, and I'm very, very happy that I have it, because that album means just a whole boatload to me. It blew my mind. And I was 17 at the time. It just blew my mind. But I'm going to stop rambling on about it. Ooh, pardon me. The next one is Demanufacture from Fear Factory. I got this as per a recommendation of my dad, and I haven't been able to stop listening to it since. It's one of the greatest industrial metal albums to ever be released. And yeah, it's a really good album. And my dad will whenever my dad go on a car ride, like, this is one of my go-to CDs. I pop this in, and he and I we can go on for well over an hour about just how good the album is. Next one is Priscilla Vadens, Imperium Decadence with Priscilla Vadens. This artwork right here is what got me into Imperium Decadence. I was looking up black metal album artwork one day, and this is pretty much how it was going. Like, black metal album cover artwork. I'm just going, holy crap, that is cool. What album is that from? So I look it up, and when I finally listened to it on YouTube, I was floored when I heard this. I thought to myself, this is some of the most... Because Imperium Decadence is one of my favorite black metal bands of all time. And just, when I heard this, I'm like, holy crap, because I was listening to this on a bright winter evening when I could see outside, and I'm scrolling through my phone, just not really doing anything of importance. This is before I'd met my girlfriend, so I'm not up texting her. Everybody I know is asleep, so I'm like, you know what, I should really give this a listen now. It's been on my phone for well over a week, so I finally put it on. I'm like, holy crap. It was probably the most stunning piece of music I had ever heard up until that point. And it still blows me away today, and I'm so very happy that I have this. It wasn't even really expensive. It was $10. I don't really spend that much money on music. I mean, I spend a lot of money on music, but none of these albums I really spent a lot on. But this I would buy 10 times over. Next one is Shinedown with Amaryllis. When this album was released when was it, 2012? Yeah, 2012. 2012, when this album was released, the main two things I'd ever heard from Shinedown were, which by the way, they're one of my favorite hard rock bands. But the two of the main things that I had heard were The Crow and the Butterfly and why can't I think of the Sound of Madness. Like those are the two that I'd heard a lot because my dad played those primarily. But then we bought this originally on iTunes, and I was up at my grandparents' house for the summer, or for 2 weeks during the summer. We brought my bike. We brought my bike back when I was really big into biking. I mean, I would be now, but not important. Anyway, just I put this on, and it was like the sun it was probably about 4, so the sun was kind of setting, and then the song Amaryllis came on. Again, just blew my mind. The fresh, crisp Michigan air of Houghton Lake. Me riding my bike down the street. Just there's so much about this album that I love, and just when I've thought Adrenaline and Bully were really, really good songs. Don't get me wrong, but the second that Amaryllis hit, and the almost setting sun, the trees, just everything came together in one just magnum opus of moments, kind of like it did with Priscilla Vaddens. And to this day, this remains one of my favorite albums, and I wouldn't necessarily say of all time, but yeah, it continues to blow my mind. And I don't have the Sound of Madness on CD either, otherwise that would be in here. Good Lord, I'm already approaching 18 minutes. Next one is Lamb of God, Sacrament. This is like pretty much anybody who likes Lamb of God, this is their favorite album. And the reason that this one means so much to me is that you gotta be kidding me. The reason this one means so much to me is when I first heard Redneck, I was probably, I want to say maybe 10 when I heard Redneck. No, wait. This is in 2006. Okay. Give me 3. No, I was 9 when I first heard Redneck, actually. And when I first heard that, I was watching the music video with my dad, and he pretty much immediately turned it off. I'm like, what was wrong with it? He's like, well, they said we are 100% blasphemy. I'm like, oh no, that's bad. But once I actually listened to the album, I discovered it was much, much worse, pretty much, because of all the language and all that BS. But yeah, but once I finally actually listened to the album, it has stuck with me for so long, and there's a good reason for that, because this is excellent, like, groove metalcore, and I can't really articulate very well tonight, because it is currently 1 a.m. where I'm at while I'm making this video. But yeah, this has just stuck with me for a while, and it's just, in my opinion, a really, really, really good album. Sorry about that. Next one we have is Korn, Follow the Leader. My God. Sorry. I keep having severe heartburn. Anyway, Korn, Follow the Leader. I bought this, I want to say, yeah, I think I bought this the same time I bought Demanufactured from Fear Factory. And my parents were pissed off. Because at the point of me buying this, I saw in the back that Freakin' Unleash was on this album. And at the point of me buying this, all I'd ever heard from Korn was Freakin' Unleash. And if you know me, I'm not a lyrics guy, even though I write lyrics for my band. I'm not a lyrics guy by any means. However, but yeah, they were so up in a tizzy about the fact that I bought a Korn CD. Like, they don't approve of the lyrics at all. And that is part of why it stuck with me for so long. It's just, there was so much controversy, and this is around the same time that I discovered Slipknot and Avenged Sevenfold. And just everything came together in one big amalgamation of, just, to be quite frank, a shitstorm. They wouldn't let go of the fact that I bought this CD for a good 6 months or so. And every now and then they'll still give me crap about it. It's just part of that is just like the little kid in me, even though I was 16 when I bought this. The little kid in me was finally starting to get out, and then the teenager part of me was finally like, you know what, I can do what I want. I'll spend my money how I feel like it. And besides the fact that I do think that Korn is actually a good band, I just lost a lot of brownie points. Next one is Winter Soul with Frozen Storm Apocalypse. This is when I first heard this. This is released in 2010, so I was 13 when I first heard this. This is by far some of the most intense, like, just fast black metal, angry black metal that I have ever heard. And the fact that I was 13 when I was listening to this, and I was also listening to Antester, just blew my mind. I didn't realize metal could get just this furious. When the song The Awakening came on, just, there were brain chunks everywhere because it was so fast and furious. It's like somebody took a loaded shotgun to my brain. It's just like, boom, that just happened. So yeah. And then the next one is Cattle Decapitation with Monolith of Inhumanity. This is my first Cattle Decapitation album. And quite frankly, at first, the only song I'd heard was Forced Gender Reassignment, and I had to thank Stoutmeister for even letting me know that music video existed, because at first I was like, this is terrifying. And I didn't really like the chugging, just like, I didn't really care for like the pig squeal, like the pig grunting and all that. But then I listened to The Carbon Stampede, Dead Summon Suicide, A Living, Breathing Piece of Defecating Meat, Gristle Liquor. And then I started listening to Forced Gender Reassignment too. And just when all those finally came together, I'm like, this is really good. This is really, really good stuff. And I started listening to this in 2014. 2014 was a very, very big year for me. It was a big year for me. Let's just leave it at that. Because this is I want to keep this as short as I possibly can. And the next two we have are from Avenged Sevenfold with the self-titled and Nightmare. The self-titled, the first Avenged Sevenfold song I had ever heard was not off of this one. Or this one. It was off of Hail to the King. And the first song I ever heard was Shepherd of Fire in 2013, when the Call of Duty Nazi Zombies Origins trailer released. And I heard Shepherd of Fire, and I really got into it. And then I heard Hail to the King. I would not stop playing that song. Would not stop. But then, after I was like, I really, really want to check out more Avenged Sevenfold with the guys too. But anyway, I listened to Almost Easy. That song stuck with me for so long. And then Afterlife too. And then with Nightmare, my first song I heard off of this was Nightmare. And then the music video was just like, holy crap, this is what? This is a thing people can do? Sorry. And then for the longest time, So Far Away can still almost bring me to tears. Just it's so emotional, and I have so many fond memories of Events Unfold, especially with these two albums. I have so many good memories with these. Like a lot of the better part of 2013 was spent me listening to Events Unfold and really starting to appreciate metal that wasn't Christian metal or Christian themed metal. And then the next one is Amon Amarth with Odin on Our Side. This was the first melodic death metal album I'd ever heard, and the first songs I had actually ever heard from Amon Amarth were Father of the Wolf, with the big music video for Father of the Wolf off of Deceiver of the Gods, which I don't think Deceiver of the Gods is really that good of an album, but there are quite a few really good songs off of the album. But anyway, I didn't really care for the album as a whole, or Deceiver of the Gods, that is. But then I actually went back and listened to some of their older stuff, like One Sent from the Golden Hall, and then I heard this one. Every song on this album blew my freaking mind. Valhalla Awaits Me, Runes to My Memory, and then Gods of War Rise. Gods of War Rise is my favorite song from Amon Amarth. It is just proud. I'm not going to ramble on about it, because I ramble on about stuff too much. And the next one is Dio with Holy Diver. Dio was a big topic of controversy for my parents with me for the longest time, because my dad says if you flip his name upside down, it spells devil. D-E-V. No. D-E-V-I. But there's no L there. But that was on the Dream Evil album cover. But anyway, it was a big topic of controversy with me and my parents for the longest time. Even though there's really nothing bad in his lyrics, my mom was like, "Why are you listening to that crap?" I'm like, "It's not crap. He doesn't sing about anything bad, as far as I can tell, because again, I'm not a lyrics guy. I don't really interpret lyrics well." But Dio is still, in my opinion, this album especially, one of the greatest power metal bands. He is the guy who pretty much started this with rock and metal. There's just so much about Dio and that album in particular that has stuck with me for so long. Next one is Whitechapel, Our Endless War. This is probably the least popular album from Whitechapel with everybody, but this is my first one, and for the longest time, all I would ever listen to is The Saw Is the Law. And then I listen to the rest of it, I'm like, I really, really like this album. So I go back and I listen to This Is Exile, A New Era of Corruption, which is definitely the best Whitechapel album. I listen to that, that is really what got me into deathcore. That and Atticus the Death Metaler. Atticus the Death Metaler is pretty much one of the big reasons why I'm into deathcore, other than Impending Doom. Because this is on his honorable mentions list for his year of 2014. And speaking of his year of 2014 list, Carnifex Die Without Hope. You guys know now how much I just adore Carnifex. Carnifex is my baby. This album is my baby. I'm gonna get a little real, because if you didn't see my Die Without Hope review that I took down, if Count Blagrith can get real, so can I. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but let it be known that I do have depression, and I still struggle with that. There'll be some days where it hits me and it doesn't go away for probably like a good 2-3 weeks, a month, and then even then it's just only temporary relief. But whenever I feel depressed or I'm in the mood for some heavy stuff, I will put on Carnifex. Every time, without fail, I will put on Carnifex, because I will relate to the lyrics. I will feel like somebody actually knows like the pain and the anger and the apathy that I'm going through. It just makes me feel so much less alone. And I'm going to show 2 albums on vinyl and then one last one on CD. I know that's kind of back-ass words, but the one on CD is just the one in my collection that means just the absolute most to me. Blue Elson with Memory of a Two-Step 3, Saturnian Poetry. The reason that album means a lot is because when I first heard it, I was floored by it. I was just like, wow, this is really beautiful, like summer and fall music. Why haven't I heard about this before? And it's a big reason why I'm really into a lot of like black metal is Saturnian poetry. Sorry, I keep getting heartburn. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much more detail about that, but yeah. And then that's also the first like vinyl that I ever bought with my own money, because a lot of my vinyl was actually given to me by my good friend from work, Wyatt, who isn't working with us anymore. Anyway, Carcass with Surgical Steel. This album means just so much to me. If you couldn't tell. Just, there's... Carcass was one of the first... Like, I went to the show for Carcass with Exhumed, Noisem, and Macabre. The best show I've ever been to in my life, hands down, without a question. I had the most fun there. Just... The show was amazing. I had the most fun there. Everything about it was just... To my 16-year-old brain, everything about the show was just the best thing ever. And apart from that, I still think that this is an amazing album. Just a flawless piece of just metal in general. And then finally, last but oh so certainly not least, Behemoth with The Satanist. Maybe thinking to yourself, I saw that coming. Well, there's a good reason for why you saw that coming. That album means the most to me out of everything in my collection. Because just, it was like, I still have the biggest obsession with that. I play it at least once a week. At least once a week. And just, when I first heard it, like, there was not a single part of that album that did not just hook my interest. Every single song on that album was just implemented so deep in my brain. And I still can't get over it. I still think, honest to God, and I know that this is this is probably one of the most overrated albums of all time at this point, but everybody sings its praises, and for good frickin' reason. I personally think that this is one of the best pieces of music ever constructed in the history of forever. Nurgle will forever be one of my favorite musicians, and that probably boosts his ego even more. I love Nurgle. I love Behemoth. I love Behemoth's early work. I love Behemoth's black and death metal stuff, and you all know how I feel about this album. But he has an ego. It's the size of a mountain. But hey, I love him, and I love his music, and I love the band, so whatever. Which I think they're actually releasing a new album this year, so if they can't top this, I will not be surprised. Just, yeah. Everything about that album stuck with me for well over 2 years now. I've listened to it at least once a week, every week for about 2 years. and just, oh, words cannot describe how much I love that album. And again, this is still during the whole my parents don't approve of. Hold on. This is still during the whole my parents don't approve of these lyrics thing. And that's also another big reason why I love Surgical Steel so much, is because that show, they still don't let that show go. They still don't like the fact that I went to go see that show. And meanwhile, I would do it again every single time if I had the chance. And this helped me break through so many different personal barriers. It's unreal. I'm not going to go too deep into detail because I know family watches this video, but the barriers that I broke with this album, the personal barriers of all the struggles and doubts and questions I was having, there's not a part of the album that did not speak to me on some level. Every single minute note, every single bass note, every cymbal hit or cymbal crash, every guitar pick, everything on that album has just blown me away every day for 2 years now. And it will forever be one of my favorite pieces of music, and just honestly, just such an amazing piece of art. So yeah, about, good lord, almost 40 minutes. But yeah, that's my response to you, Shawn Count Blagrith. So yeah, also I want to thank you for subscribing to me. That made my day when I saw that happened. So yeah, God, as Wyatt Exham would say, thanks for watching and good listens. And no, Wyatt, if you for whatever reason watch this, I'm not gonna rip off your thing, but peace.